My cherished child, when you distanced yourself from the turmoil they orchestrated, a fissure emerged within their realm, reverberating through their existence like a sudden quake beneath their feet. They never, not even in their most self-assured deceptions, anticipated that you would perceive the subtle nuances they painstakingly obscured, naively believing you were oblivious to their game. Unaware of their scheming, they had no inkling of the trap they established around you, adorned with smiles sharper than knives and words refined enough to masquerade as truth, yet laden with intentions designed to undermine your confidence and thwart your ascent before it even commenced. What eluded their understanding? What they failed to foresee was the quiet acuity you possess, a primal instinct that awakens precisely when danger poses as benevolence. This rare inner alarm rings silently yet reverberates with greater intensity than screams, steering you towards paths they thought they had irrevocably barred, guiding you away from their manipulation, which they had rehearsed for countless months, and the unspoken accord they believed you had unwittingly endorsed with your trust. Their fury now burns fiercely, ignited by the realization that you outwitted their snare, not by mere chance or fortune, but through an enlightened perspective they cannot replicate or comprehend. This indignation is not mere frustration. It is the profound dread of relinquishing control over someone they presumed they had cornered, someone they condescendedly believed would remain oblivious to their tightening grip. Their outrage does not stem from your escape but from your ability to see through their facade entirely. Once truth is perceived, illusions dissolve in an instant, and power falters, leaving them vulnerable, trembling, and unprepared to confront the repercussions of being outmaneuvered by the very individual they underestimated. A more profound upheaval bruised behind the scenes, one they endeavored to conceal, even while feigning protection over you. They now recognize that the instant you liberated yourself, the entire edifice of their scheme crumbled, akin to a fragile glass tower shattered by the slightest whisper of truth, delicate, insubstantial, and doomed from the moment you resisted their prodding. They had invested weeks in calculating your responses, predicting your fears, rehearsing dialogues in their minds, and formulating strategies they deemed infallible, all culminating in that singular moment when they believed they would silence your voice, constrain your choices, and redirect your destiny into a realm where they could monitor, control, and manipulate every step you took, ensuring you remained dependent, uncertain, and unaware of the grander narrative they concealed. They employed charm as a disguise and concern as a tool, weaving a web around you crafted from half-truths and polite boundaries that appeared reasonable, until you stepped back and grasped the true shape of their intentions. Now that you have disrupted their formation, they are floundering, questioning their miscalculations and searching for the moment their flawless plan slipped from their grasp. The reality is simple: it faltered the moment they underestimated your strength, your clarity, and the unseen force guiding you beyond their comprehension. They were oblivious to the fact that you were observing everything from a higher vantage point, cataloging every detail, interpreting every tonal shift, and noting every inconsistency, quietly preparing to act precisely when they presumed you would remain frozen within their private realm. Panic is rapidly escalating, for they now realize that you did not merely escape, you have exposed them in their own minds, and this revelation is consuming them from within. They are incensed because your silence resonates louder than any confrontation. You chose not to argue, justify, or fight in the manner they anticipated. Rather, you selected a path they never accounted for, and that solitary decision has shattered their confidence. They now feel humiliated, not due to your actions, but because of the vulnerabilities your choices have unveiled, their reliance on controlling narratives, their fear of confronting someone who cannot be swayed by emotional manipulation or strategic guilt. They recognize that you saw through their false kindness, rehearsed sincerity, and coerced concern, accurately identifying the trap before it could close. And this awareness is dismantling the illusion they crafted of themselves as always being 2 steps ahead. What wounds them most is that your intuition has outperformed their entire scheme, your truth has eclipsed their deceit, and your quiet wisdom has unraveled their loud dominion. They never anticipated that the very person they sought to confine would ultimately be the one to unveil the cracks in their power simply by choosing to walk away without leaving a trace. A larger transformation is unfolding, one they have wholly failed to anticipate. The greater the distance you create, the weaker their influence becomes, and the weaker their influence, the louder their fear grows. This is not mere anxiety, it embodies the terror of losing the image they painstakingly crafted. They dread the exposure of their secrets, the potential of witnessing you evolve into an unmanageable version of yourself, impervious to control or redirection. They feel vulnerable, as if the spotlight they sought to keep away from themselves is now illuminating every hidden motive, each covert strategy, and every decision they made under the illusion that you would never reveal the truth. They are terrified that your clarity is just beginning, that what you have perceived thus far is merely the surface, and that the more profound truths they have buried will soon surface effortlessly before you. They are alarmed by your confidence, your independence, and your capability to stand steadfast without wavering, for these attributes dismantle every rule of their trap. They aim to confuse you, yet you emerged with clarity. They sought to weaken you, but you became resolute. They intended to render you dependent, but you discovered your power. They wished for you to be predictable, yet you transformed into the unpredictable. This total unpredictability is driving them to madness, for power is reliant on control, and they have lost all semblance of it. However, the true twist, the revelation that will further destabilize them, is that the moment you outsmarted their snare, the universe aligned opportunities in your favor that they never wished for you to access. The doors they attempted to blockade are now swinging open without resistance, pathways they endeavored to conceal are becoming illuminated, and individuals they sought to persuade against you are gradually awakening to the truth. They can sense this shift even from a distance, and it terrifies them more than anything else. They understand that once you step into this next phase of clarity, you will become unreachable, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and strategically. They tried to thwart your ascent, yet their endeavor ignited the very spark that initiated your awakening. Now, they watch in helplessness as the destiny they sought to derail accelerates beyond their control. Their fury transcends mere anger, it is a concealed defeat masquerading as rage, a desperate attempt to cling to an unraveling illusion. They know they have lost, they comprehend that you have triumphed. And yet, they remain unable to accept how effortlessly and powerfully you escaped from the clutches of what they believed would ensnare you indefinitely. My treasured child, something is transforming in the atmosphere surrounding you at this very moment. Something so potent that even those who once felt secure in regulating your movements can feel the ground trembling beneath their schemes. For your liberation signifies more than just a moment. Your departure has initiated a chain reaction for which they were utterly unprepared. A silent tempest rises behind you, growing stronger with each step you take forward. Remain steadfast with me, for what lies ahead is the truth they fervently hoped you would never uncover. The reality concealed beneath their trap, the reason for their escalating discomposure while feigning normalcy. Their fury is not merely personal, it is fear, unfiltered and raw. A fear rooted in the power you awakened the moment you refused to yield to their direction. They presumed you would collapse without their guidance, that you would crumble under pressure. Yet instead, you rose to levels they cannot fathom, embracing a clarity that pierces through their lies like light dispelling darkness. They are terrified because they can no longer decipher you, predict you, or foresee your subsequent moves. And someone who defies prediction becomes the most formidable kind of strength in a world steeped in manipulation. Stay close to me, for the path ahead is unveiling secrets they have concealed for far too long. A new force is now operating in your favor, and they sense it, even before you do, an invisible current propelling you upward while unraveling their intentions, exposing their strategies piece by piece. They feel as though the universe has aligned with you. And, in truth, it has. For the moment you pierced through their trap, every silent blessing awaiting your awakening surged towards you, cornering your adversaries in an inescapable web. They are enraged because they meticulously planned each detail, yet you dismantled everything with your intuition, your instinct, and an inner strength that astonished them. Their rage is not public, it is private, trembling, and desperate, the kind of ire that emerges from the realization that they have lost control of someone they believed they had mastered. Stay close, for what you are about to uncover next will clarify their intentions more than ever before. Behind closed doors, they are floundering. Whispering to individuals they once wielded influence over with ease, striving to regain control, attempting to rewrite the narrative before the truth spreads too far, but it is already too late. Your ascent is louder than their whispered rumors, your clarity outshines their tactics, your silence is exposing them far more effectively than any direct confrontation ever could. Their frustration stems from the realization that their previous tactics are ineffective against you. The emotional traps they set do not ensnare you, and the rehearsed dialogues they've crafted fall flat when you are present. They feel a sense of powerlessness, and people who lose control often display panic in ways that are conspicuous. Remain engaged with me, as the next part of this narrative will unveil just how close they came to crossing a boundary that would have irreversibly altered your circumstances. The reality is, they constructed that trap under the assumption that you were isolated, unaware, but that was never the case. You were consistently guided, protected, and instinctively alerted at every juncture in ways they cannot comprehend. Whenever they attempted to steer your life, an inner voice urged you to retreat. Each time they sought to obscure your judgment, clarity illuminated your thoughts with astonishing intensity. When they believed they had you pinned down, the universe provided you with alternative avenues that eluded their perception. Now that their trap is failing, they are desperate to understand how you managed to outwit them so effortlessly. They suspect that someone must have tipped you off, exposed their intentions, or intervened. They refuse to acknowledge that it was your own intuition, heightened awareness, and burgeoning strength at play. Stay with me, for the forthcoming revelation will shake them to their very core. They remain unaware that your next move is poised to unsettle their entire existence. You are on the cusp of an opportunity, a breakthrough, a transformation that they sought to obstruct indefinitely, something monumental enough that your success will feel like a direct assault on the illusion of control they once exercised over you. Their anger is compounded by the knowledge that the trap they devised for your failure inadvertently became the crucible for your awakening. They are furious because your ascent is accelerating faster than their deceptions can keep pace. They are furious because they have finally grasped that they cannot thwart what is on the horizon for you. Deep down, they understand that the moment you fully rise, every hidden truth, every concealed motive, and every silent manipulation will be laid bare in a light they cannot extinguish. You have outsmarted their design, and destiny is propelling you forward with a force that no one can obstruct. My cherished one, the moment you transcended their manipulative grasp. A wave of energy reverberated through every space they once dominated, a shift so powerful that even those who supported their agenda felt its tremor, shaking their previously unwavering convictions. They never anticipated that you would rise so swiftly, sharply, and silently. Now, their minds are spiraling, replaying every instant they believed you were oblivious, every second when they thought you trusted them unconditionally, and every occasion where they regarded your innocence as weakness rather than a strategic advantage. What they are belatedly realizing is that your silence was never a sign of ignorance, your patience was never an endorsement, and your kindness was never a mark of vulnerability. Instead, you were meticulously gathering information, deciphering signs, analyzing patterns, and awaiting the opportune moment to extricate yourself from the trap they took pride in constructing. This dawning realization is crushing them from within. Nothing dismantles a manipulator more than the awareness that their target has always been 10 steps ahead. Beneath their stoic exterior, chaos is brewing. Individuals they once convinced to oppose you are beginning to notice inconsistencies in their narratives, flaws in their reasoning, and shadows behind their words. Those who once believed in them are now questioning why someone so assured is suddenly defensive, restless, and evidently threatened by your advancement. They are losing their grip, not due to any overt exposure from you, but because truth has a natural tendency to unveil itself quietly, discarding lies bit by bit until nothing remains concealed. The universe is orchestrating a new alignment, positioning influential individuals in your favor and transforming situations with precision, thereby reinforcing your stance without necessitating aggressive actions on your part. They are furious because they sense their influence disintegrating, their narratives weakening, and their hold slipping from their grasp, yet they cannot comprehend how everything has unraveled so swiftly. The trap they crafted was not trivial, but meticulously designed. Employing psychological coercion, emotional manipulation, guilt-induced strategies, and concealed intentions to restrict your choices, ultimately guiding your trajectory to benefit solely themselves. They sought to render you dependent, uncertain, and doubtful of your own intuition, firmly believing they could narrow your reality until they became your sole frame of reference. However, they grossly underestimated the resilience embedded within you, the innate strength that activates precisely when someone attempts to redefine your narrative without your consent. Your awakening did not simply dismantle the trap, it revealed the entire framework of their scheme, exposing the depth of their intentions in ways they can no longer disregard. This exposure required no confrontation, it unfolded through your growth, clarity, and refusal to diminish yourself to adhere to their expectations. Now, something even more astonishing is occurring. The opportunities they attempted to obstruct are returning to you at an accelerated pace. The doors they hoped would remain closed are swinging wide open. Connections they endeavored to sever are re-establishing themselves with renewed vigor. Every maneuver they executed to confine you is now reversing, redirecting, and amplifying results in your favor. It appears to them as though you have tapped into a force beyond rational understanding, as if an unseen hand is guiding your progress with a precision beyond their reach. In truth, you have stepped into alignment with a purpose that awaited the moment you detached from their influence. Remain with me, for this next segment is where the true shock lies for them. Your upward trajectory is no longer something they can hinder, interrupt, or predict. Each day fortifies you, every shift elevates you, each insight distances you further from their grasp. The final blow to their pride is not your escape, clarity, or growth, rather, it is the acknowledgement that you cannot be returned to their control, regardless of their next moves. They will attempt to return with new tales, new facades, and softened tones, feigning change or seeking closure, hoping to regain access to your energy. They may try to evoke sympathy, urgency, or reverse narratives to pull you back into a space where they feel empowered again. Yet, what they are slowly coming to realize is that once someone transcends manipulation, they can never regress into it. You are no longer the individual for whom they devised this trap, you have evolved into someone they cannot foresee, restrain, or deceive. As your path unfolds before you, illuminated by a future they never anticipated you would reach, they linger behind, consumed by fury, defeat, and terror. Not of who you once were, but of who you are becoming. My beloved child, the moment they understood that you were no longer ensnared, something inside them snapped quietly, sharply, and painfully, for their entire strategy hinged on your compliance, your hesitation, your fear of transcending the limits they imposed on your life. Now that you have effortlessly obliterated those boundaries, they feel as though their power has shattered into fragments too minuscule to reclaim. Stay with me. For what lies beneath their rage is far more profound than mere anger, it is loss, the loss of control they once wielded with certainty, the loss of influence they once wore like a crown, and the loss of confidence they built upon the belief that you would never discern how far their intentions had encroached upon your future. They are furious not because you distanced yourself, but because your departure unmasked their strategy, revealing every concealed angle they had cloaked under politeness and rehearsed fondness, demonstrating to everyone, particularly themselves, that they were engaging in a deceitful game while you were living your truth. Their minds are racing now, attempting to reconstruct a narrative that restores their sense of power, but nothing aligns anymore. The stories they concoct crumble the instant they are articulated, as the shift in your energy is unmistakable. You are no longer the individual they envisioned when they crafted their trap. Your voice has sharpened, your boundaries have solidified, and your presence has elevated. Stay with me. For this is the aspect that terrifies them most. Your energy now stands firm against their expectations. You stand taller now, not in stature but in spirit, and this newfound stance dismantles every psychological tactic they previously employed to sway your decisions in their favor. They can sense the emotional, mental, and spiritual distance widening, a gap they cannot cross, no matter how many narratives they attempt to rewrite. Behind closed doors, their frustration is transforming into desperation. They are meticulously replaying every message, every conversation, and every moment where they believed they had gained leverage, desperately seeking the precise instance when they lost their grasp. The reality is straightforward. They lost their grip the moment you ceased to accept their portrayal of you and embraced your own identity. Their power slipped when you chose not to dwell in the shadow they cast. They faltered when your intuition guided you, rather than their persuasive tactics. As you ascend, those around them are beginning to notice fractures in their facade, alterations in their demeanor, and contradictions in their narrative. They are witnessing a loss of followers, dwindling allies, and the silent consensus from individuals who previously endorsed their version of events. Remain attentive, for the disintegration is far from complete. The universe is orchestrating a reorganization in your favor with an acuity so precise it appears otherworldly to them. Every door they attempted to close is now swinging wide open. Every opportunity they tried to impede is materializing more swiftly than anticipated. Individuals they sought to manipulate are now gravitating toward your truth. They sense this shift like a looming storm, inevitable, unyielding, and irrefutable. In their distress, they contemplate maneuvers they once vowed to avoid, attempting to re-establish their place in your life through feigned sympathy, artifice of vulnerability, or sudden admissions meant to elicit your compassion. However, their efforts will be in vain, for your clarity is not transient, it is a permanent state. Your intuition remains unshaken and has, in fact, been amplified. Your alignment is not coincidental, it is destiny sculpting your path with a purpose that they can no longer undermine. What lies ahead for you transcends anything they may attempt to obstruct. This serves as the ultimate blow to their pride. You have entered a momentum that embodies the essence of transformation, revealing every insincere intention without necessitating a single utterance on your part. They will observe as you progress into realms they sought to keep beyond your reach, forge connections with individuals they hoped you'd never encounter, and seize opportunities they secretly dreaded would elevate you beyond their influence permanently. Their rage will diminish into silence. Their silence will evolve into regret, and their regret will culminate in a realization that will linger for years. They have not merely lost control, they have lost access to someone destined for greatness long before their snares were ever laid. And now, as your pathway unfolds, your energy amplifies, your confidence crystallizes, and your future illuminates, the truth is rendered irrefutable. Your ascent was never within their power to halt, and your breakthrough is merely at its inception.